First National Bank in Kentucky. Melissa, you want to stand and tell us what you do?
Hi, I'm Melissa Pryor. I'm a loan specialist at First National Bank of Kentucky. We're new to the area. We have a loan production office on 42 of Florence Union area and plans to build a Union in the next 2 years.
Welcome. Melissa, I have a golf outing brochure.
There you go, Sean.
Thanks for coming by. These guys are from Tonga, so they won't be at the golf outing, but I do want to introduce them. Daniel from Tonga, welcome Daniel. Coffee, welcome Coffee. And their guests are Roger. Roger, do you have a big speech for these two nice folks?
They're amazing. They run a farming operation, a sewing shop, clothing ministry, church planting in Togo, and I've been there 5 times. I'm very impressed by
Awesome.
their work. They're
Very good.
good friends.
All right, thank you, Roger. And then we have back with us Charlie Herzenberg. Brick House. Welcome back, Charlie. Let me see. On the sports front, I don't know if things get better. The Reds swept the Giants, pretty series. The Bengals beat the Dallas Cowboys. I know. Don't ruin it more. And there was some great culture. Let's lost some clean soul. 70% of the songs that she was very much involved with, and I didn't realize a lot of that. And Carol Canyon. People have been in here. Yeah. But it's a little awkward when you're moving furniture over the weekend with a bunch of guys and you start singing how it makes you feel like a natural woman. They haven't asked you back to move, maybe I should have said that earlier. James.
Since he says I'm always the cultural person, if you love Aretha Franklin, you need to see Dreamgirls at the Carnegie. There's a woman that in her bio, she says she's a stay-at-home mom, but she has had soprano training at CCM. I've seen her twice now, and so she sings like Aretha Franklin. And I mean, she brings the house down in Dreamgirls when she does her solos. And so I can highly recommend it. It's a really wonderful production. It's an all black cast with maybe one white person who's in production. I mean, it just lets you see in our community the incredible talent we have. There is one man who comes from San Francisco who does the James Brown type of character. You all seen James. He's got rubber legs and a great voice, so you will really enjoy yourself if you go to Carnegie.
Thank you, Janice. I had an extra cultural moment, actually. I know that's unusual, but I had a tour with some folks with the new museum over in Cincinnati, the Children's Museum that's going to reopen. It's absolutely going to be incredible. That's all that OmniMax and everything that's gone into the construction of the place to redo a bunch of rooms. And yes, they will have the trains at Christmas, the new trains and all that, but what they've done to this place is pretty amazing. It's going to have all kinds of things for all kinds of ages. So that's stay tuned. Should be over the next month. Thank you. You know, Mr. President, I'm getting confused. Who's the president? Is it you or Ferguson or Zach Tyler? I mean,
we're all kind of taking turns.
Let me tell you,
we'll see next week.
Pam Gang was a whole lot better to look at. We had a Cerberus that we could be.
It takes 3 of us to fill those shoes.
You look good in pumps, Jacob.
Makes me a little taller.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, John.
All right.
All right. To move along with our program here, I'd like to invite Gary Greiser up to give a presentation today. Gary?
For those of you who are not aware, Gary Stewart, who is a member of our club, has been involved in Rotary, I'm guessing about 40 years. And somewhere along that early part of his 40 years, he was the district governor for our district. And at that time, his wife Nellie was by his side. Every time there was an event going on with Rotary, she would be there. Whether she wanted to be there or not, she was there. And so just not too long before Nellie passed away, Gary and Nellie decided they wanted to make their sons, they have 3 sons, Paul Harris Fellows. And so we had a special ceremony, and Gary had asked me to be part of that ceremony, and we made all 3 of his sons Paul Harris Fellows. And one of those sons, Scott, is with us today. And so Gary called me a few weeks ago and said he wanted to begin a new tradition, that he wanted to make his grandchildren Paul Harris Fellows as they graduated from high school.
Nice.
And so I'm proud to announce that Evan Stewart, who is with us today, has recently graduated from St. Henry. Is that right? St. Henry? And I believe later this week we'll move into the dorm at the University of Sonata and become involved in an electrical engineering degree program over there. So Evan, if you would come up, please, I would like to present you with a Paul Harris Fellow from your grandpa. And I don't know how much you know about Paul Harris Fellows, but I want you to know that your grandpa made a $1,000 donation to the Paul Harris Fellowship, and what he got for that was this piece of paper. Your name. And what that means is $1,000 will go to the foundation, and that because of that gift, there may be a child somewhere in the world who will never get polio. There may be a family in the world who may for the first time drink clean water. And there may be children to become educated, and there could be lots and lots of good things happen around the world because of $1,000 that your grandpa gave you as becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. So let me put this around your neck, if I may. Let's do it this way. My goodness, a steward with hair. I can't believe it. Now, your grandpa also learned that, for instance, you got that paper for his $1,000. They used to give you these medallions with your donation of $1,000. He found out that they no longer do that he now has to pay extra for the medallion, and they come in a cheap little box. So he wanted you to have yours in a nice box. They used to come in, and this is your grandma Nellie's box. Congratulations.
Thank you, Gary. Congratulations, Evan, and the entire Stewart family. It was very nice. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that moment with us. Okay, I'm going to run through a few quick announcements here. First, Zach has asked that if you volunteered to collect tickets at the Boone County Fair a couple of weeks ago, the amount of hours that you worked, he would appreciate that so he can log those for us. We've got our live auction scheduled for November 26th. So, and Mr. Larry Bertram is going to be joining us for the live auction. So if you have some auction items that you would like to donate, please see any member of Team 2. If you're on Team 2, would you care to raise your hand for me so our folks know who to see? All right, thank you very much. Our board meeting that was scheduled for today, immediately following our club meeting, has been moved to next week. So if you're on the club board, we are not going to meet today. We will meet next Monday. Reminder that Rob's Kids and Master Provisions is our third quarter community sponsor. So I want to direct you to the newsletter. You can find out many ways in which to support those two organizations. And lastly, before I introduce our guest speaker, just a reminder, I'm going to start reminding everybody that on October 1st, we're going to have a location change. So we will not be meeting here at the Hilton on October 1st. we're going to be meeting at the Boone County Library instead. So the Boone County Main Library off of Route 18. All right, without further ado, I want to introduce our guest speaker today. He is one of the co-founders of Reset Ministries, Grant Dawson. Grant has a heart to see people realize their worth and potential. This has been true in his work as a teacher, coach, missionary, nonprofit director, pastor, and business. He wants the same thing for his beautiful wife and 3 teenage kids. He is currently a co-owner of multiple service businesses, including Cincy Gutter Boys and Loyal Green Lawn Care. He is also the volleyball coach at Holmes High School in Covington and the program director of Reset Ministries, and a nonprofit that he has founded with his father in 2010. So please join me in welcoming Grant Dawson.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you for having me. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll try that again. If it goes out, I'll just speak as loudly as I can. So, I wish Jim Ferguson could have been here today. We went to high school together and we've stayed in touch ever since. And I know that if he would have introduced me, he would have thrown in some kind of wisecrack to make me look really stupid. So I wish he could have been there to, start off with a bang. But I'm going to actually sound maybe like I know what I'm talking about with Jim not here. I didn't realize that this group was so funny and so lively. Seriously, you guys are great. I'm really excited to be able to be here today. With my bio, it sounds like I haven't figured out what I want to be when I grow up. There's too many things in there that I'm trying to do, but one thing that I love is Reset Ministries. And I wanted to be able to talk about Reset as well as just help you understand the drug epidemic that's going on in our greater Cincinnati area. I want you to raise your hand. You might have a hard time with this, but I want you to raise your hand if you know someone personally that is struggling with some kind of substance abuse addiction. So it could be your neighbor's kid or your niece or something like that. Raise your hand if you know someone personally. Okay, that's about 90% of the room. And that's what's going on in our area. And I realize that I think a lot of times we hear these things going on, we see this stuff in the news, and we don't really understand why somebody would get in and stay in a life of substance abuse. And so, one thing, Eric, can you pop up there? Something that's going on, there's a piece that was done by the Cincinnati Enquirer and USA Today. It's called 7 Days of Heroin. I'm not going to show that because it's 30 minutes long. That would take too long. But I really do recommend that you look at that. If you are interested in this, I really recommend that you read that or watch it. It's a Pulitzer Prize winning piece that was done last year. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do that. So it's a Pulitzer Prize winning piece that was done last year in the Cincinnati area that went national. It's really great, and it really helps you understand how this really works. Before I got into Reset, and I'll talk about how that happened later, but I would have had no idea. I always thought, why would somebody keep doing this, keep destroying their life, and going back to something when they have a chance to maybe get out of it? And that was until I ended up, that's gonna be bad. We'll see if we can find that. Looks like they, okay, I'll keep talking. So, I was able to meet some of the people that live in our home, and this is what the typical story looks like. I started using pain pills We had a guy who was overseas, serving in our military, got injured, was put on pain pills. And there was an over-prescribing of pain pills that was going on in our country for a decade. And so he got on the pain pills and then was getting extra doses of that to cope with the pain. And then eventually they would pull back the pain pills, and to be able to get pain pills on the street would cost $150 a day to support your habit, when you can't keep getting it from the doctor. And so, you know what costs a lot less than pain pills? Heroin. And it's the same opiate that you're using, and so $10 a day for heroin. And there are drug dealers that will actually give free samples to be able to get you going. And there's an amazing book called Dreamland. If you're interested in any of this, I really recommend that you try to watch 7 Days of Heroin, and then read the book Dreamland by a guy named Sam Quinones. He's actually going to be speaking in Claremont County September 6th. But it helps you understand how we got here. And it's a combination of pharmaceutical companies, hey look, we can keep pushing the pain pills out here. And the idea was these pain pills are non-addictive. That was what research has shown. And so people kept prescribing. And the doctors wanted to keep their patients happy, and that makes sense. And so the patients are I need my pain pills. And then there was people coming from Mexico to keep bringing this black tar heroin. And there was just a cell that would just go from town to town, and they would deliver it to wherever you needed, like pizza. Wow. And so somebody trying to get away from this, it was everywhere. And I would think, well, okay, I mean, why wouldn't you just try to get off of that? And what really, if you don't know anything about withdrawals from heroin, I want you to picture the worst flu that you've ever had and multiply it by 5. When you actually try to get off of heroin, you'll start going through withdrawals. And this is any opiate, not just heroin, so pain pills. What happens is once you become, this is a regular part of your system, your body, you will actually start having the shakes, fever, vomiting, diarrhea, the worst flu you've ever had, ×5. And you know what's, that's day 1, and this goes on for about a week. And you know the one thing that you can do to get this taken care of and get you back to normal so you can have work? Or get back to your regular life? What's the one thing that will take care of this in a second? Heroin. You know what? I'll quit tomorrow because this feels awful and I need to get away from this. And so I got an easy fix for me to get away from this. So, looks like my video might not be happening. That's going to be a problem. I'm just going to have to tell you how great Reset is instead of showing you the video. Technology. It's tough, right? I even had it all set up. We were ready to go, and then something happened. So, are you glad that I came with such good news today? This piece on 7 Days of Heroin, it shows in 1 week in Greater Cincinnati, 200 arrests for drug-related stuff. I have the thing on my overhead. I think there's 20 overdoses that actually resulted in death. Another 50 overdoses that they were able to resuscitate. $400,000 a week to house people that are in drug addiction just in Hamilton County Justice Center. Did you hear that stat? $400,000 a week just in Hamilton County, just for in there for drugs. That's pretty alarming, wouldn't you say? That's just in 1 week, and that's a normal week, by the way. That's what it chronicles. So there's the bad news. I really made your life horrible by coming here and telling you all this bad news. Do you want some good news?
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you did. Because we're starting to see some positive results, not only in the whole area, but I get to actually experience and live and watch positive results that are happening with something called Reset Ministries. Okay? The Reset House. My dad and I, we were really naive. We were working with some guys who were trying to get clean and stay clean, and we saw what they were going back to with their jobs and their housing situation. And we said, man, no wonder they can't stay clean, because if I had to go back to that, I just wanted to escape and get away from that. And so we said, what if we could have a place that was really nice and could show people God's best and actually give more, but expect more? That was the idea. Yeah. Thanks. Okay. And so what we ended up doing was grabbing a couple houses in Covington. He loves real estate, and we said, well, we'll just get some people who want it, and we'll give them a nice place, and we don't need too much oversight. They're just going to know how much they're loved. And we ended up with two of the best crack houses in Northern California. So we realized, I think there might need to be more structure.
Are we in the good news?
We're getting good news, all right. And so we brought more structure. We brought people who have been in recovery, have been in addiction, but are 5 years, 10 years clean. And they were able to help us understand what it was going to take to do something different. But they didn't have the means to be able to start this whole thing, the organization to be able to get this going. And that was in 2010. We were able to get a beautiful house in Newport that used to be a rectory where the priests lived in Newport. And so it's a beautiful 8-bedroom home that we can house up to 12 people. And so we were giving more, we were expecting more, and we're seeing a family coming together, people coming through women's house. So we have a men's house, we have a women's house, and it really becomes more like a family that people are coming into. And we expect a lot. We are able, they pay rent, they get a job, they have to get a job within 30 days. They have to go to at least 4 meetings a week. We do service outreach regularly. The goal is for them to become servant leaders, so that when they leave the house, when they graduate after 9 to 18 months, they're actually going to come back and be a coach for the next people coming in. And we have a whole map that helps them get there. They get on a budget. They start paying back their debts while they're also paying rent. And then they come back to the Bible studies at the house every Monday night. And it just becomes, there's at least 30 women every Monday night at the women's house that are either coaches, volunteers, alumni, or current residents that come together and talk about how they're going to get their lives back on track, or how they've already gotten their lives back on track and bringing hope to each other. It's really cool to see. I was actually really privileged. On Friday, I got to go to an all reset wedding. Yeah, right? This is fun. Are you looking for the... Okay. So, one of the graduates from the women's house, the first girl that moved in, married one of the graduates from the men's house, and the person that officiated the wedding is the women's director. And so and then there were 10 alumni there celebrating, and one of them, the maid of honor, said, "This is the first wedding I've ever been to."
Wow.
What? Yeah, it's the first wedding I've ever been to. I didn't know it could be so beautiful. And that's what we're getting to see. And we've had multiple stories like that. If we could get the video going, it'd be awesome. We get to see a story of Lori, who, I'm not going to give you too much because we might be able to get it up. But, I'll hold on Lori. this wedding, it's very dear to my heart because that woman graduate is actually our office manager at work. I trust these people enough to actually to take our deposits for my business to the bank because she's got 3 years clean. She's a coach for her maid of honor. You see how, like, this is what's happening. It really is this domino thing. We have an AA meeting at the men's house every Friday, and people are coming there that it's not even, like, just for the house. People from the outside are coming in because they're seeing this is a place of hope. It's really cool. And when you see it, you say, oh, okay, this is small. There's only, 12 in the women's house, 7 in the men's house, with the smaller house. But you know what? There's a huge ripple effect that happens because they have hope and they're rubbing shoulders out in the recovery community and saying, you can do this. I'm doing it. I've done it. And then that gives more hope. And so we're seeing this. This is a beautiful thing. I just want to allow you to know that when you hear these horrible, awful statistics and you maybe read the 7 days of heroin, any of that stuff, it makes you sick to your stomach because it makes you say, is there any way that we're ever going to get past this? And I'm just here to tell you that step by step, one life at a time, we are seeing positive results. Okay? I saw some questions here.
Yeah, just because it sounds wonderful. There are a lot of places, and my understanding is most of them, if not all of them, have waiting lists. And so for your place, how does somebody qualify for that?
That's a great question. So basically, first thing is they have to want to come. It's a voluntary program. And so they can't come straight from prison. They would have to come to some kind of halfway house or some kind of sober living house because there's a week-long process of them actually coming to the house meetings, meeting the people in the house, and going through a screening interview process. But as far really what it comes down to, are they able to work and willing? Because they are going to be working. And do they truly want to reset their lives? And are they open to hearing about God on a regular basis? We have a Monday night Bible study. We do believe that faith is going to be the huge part of this. And so they don't have to be a professing Christian. They just have to know that this is going to be part of it. And we've had plenty of people that have come to the entire program and said, not really buying into that part, but we were loved here. And we appreciate everything you've done for us. Okay, that's a win. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Want to grab the video?
Oh, okay. Yes, can I hold that?
Yeah, I first congratulate you. I personally have taken a social work class during my other life. And I had an opportunity on my own to visit one of your homes to witness as an observer.
Yeah.
And I feel about 40 people to 50 people telling their stories. Even a different guy was also telling a story. And I think when I came home that day, I was crying that people need help.
Yeah.
So I think I'll give congratulations for the
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to see that. That's really cool. All right. Do we have this up?
Well, we think.
We're gonna try. By the way, this is my good friend Eric Schweitzer. Here, let's see. I do, but it's not. It's not good. Yeah, but it is in there. No, it's actually a video. Uh-oh. Ladies and gentlemen, you ready for the best video you've ever seen in your life? Or is it the most highly anticipated? All right. Hopefully we're going to have sound too. Are we ready to get this? Yeah, my mouse is
So close.
so close.
Just a little more, 2 inches.
Almost there.
Come on. Zoom out here.
It's showing that it's
No. We want people to be able to see the video. They're gonna love it. All right. We might not. It just wasn't meant to be today. No audio.
devil's not getting up yet.
To watch his kid, so that's kind of how like the whole drug thing started.
Improvising.
I was like taking straight sister, doing painkillers the whole time. I was in my last semester, and my boyfriend that I was dating overdosed. 3 weeks before I graduated, he died. After that, my life really went downhill. I was really lonely and I didn't have any coping skills at all. I tried to reach out to my family and tell them, like, you know, I'm going downhill. This is a really difficult time for me. But unfortunately, you know, I mean, they're caught up in their own stuff and their own addictions. I met this guy and we were getting drunk one night. It was my birthday and he was like, so I know you like pain pills. Why don't you try some of this? And he gave me heroin. And I loved it. I started stripping. In order to do stuff like that, you know, you have to drink and there was drugs everywhere. So it just got really bad really quick. I ended up with this guy living in a hotel room, shooting dope every day. I went in and out of jail a lot of different times for a lot of different things. One day when I was at Bible study in jail, someone brought me a recovery Bible. I actually got put in a hole, and that was the only book that you're allowed to have is the Bible. And so I was stuck there for 7 days. So I started reading the Bible, and then I got out of jail and I didn't pick it back up. But it still kind of planted a seed in my head. Nothing really changed. I knew I was going to get out and get high. And I got high in the parking lot of jail. Eventually, I overdosed and died. And they had a Narcan me, so that was pretty rough. I ended up sleeping in somebody's truck for like 3 weeks or something crazy, and I went back to jail again. And at the end, what made me get sober was I was drinking, and I guess I was in a blackout, and I shot up, and I woke up. There was like blood coming out of my nose, and like I faded out. There was a needle on the floor, so and it kept happening over and over. So I was like, if I don't stop, I'm probably gonna die. I lived in the attic of this trap house, and if I would have died, like no one would have found me. I have the same recovery Bible that I had when I was in jail from the very first time. I still have it. I won't let go of it. The last couple of days, like I was so wasted, but I would read the recovery Bible, like I would read it, fall asleep with it on my chest actually. I was really scared. I thought I was gonna die. I thought that I was gonna die up there and no one was gonna find me. And I just got on my knees and I was like, I need help. I went to Mount Echo Park every day because it was right up the street with my recovery Bible, man, and I just sat there and I read it, and I just thought, God, something's got to happen to get me out of here because I'm about to relapse. I knew it. So I started going to the Celebrate Recovery at church, and someone was there named Jeannie, and she told me about Reset. I talked to Sherry, and she invited me to come to Reset, and I just couldn't believe, like, the whole feeling of the house was, like, totally... I was in such a negative place, like the feeling of the house when I walked in was just completely It almost took my breath away. I was about to get a new life and I had no idea. I was there for 10 months and a lot of things changed in me in 10 months. There's a difference in people that are in recovery and trying to make it, and people that are in recovery and have God as their center. You know, a lot of things fell through with my family, but I still had a family to go to every step. Sherry, I couldn't have done this without her. She's been like a mom to me. And she went to court with me every time for my kid to get custody of him back. And it wasn't even, she just loved me. I once was blind and now I see, kind of, you know, like I didn't know any of this kind of life before. I had no idea. As an addict or an alcoholic, you can always fall back. And I don't think that I should ever doubt that. But I know the right way to live now. My childhood was pretty rough.
Yep. I get to watch it again.
So, you want to watch it again? So, Lori, by the way, is, you know, she's out. She's doing great with her son. She's actually just entered into our program to become a biblical counselor to help with future residents. And so she's actually continuing her journey of bettering herself. Really exciting to see that. And she was at the wedding the other night, and all that good stuff. So here's how you can help. Number one, spread the word. You have a brochure, there's a problem in our area, there's a solution that's working, and so spread the word. Oh, if you know, you raised your hand, if you know somebody, and now you know somewhere that they could possibly go, that they're looking for those things that I was talking about, really looking to reset their lives. Two, we always need volunteers, of course, right? Whether we have people that cook and bring food down to the houses, we have coaches that work one-on-one through the personal development plan, the budget stuff, and just setting goals, all that kind of good stuff. We have facilitators. We need administrative help. If that's something that you'd be interested in, you can go to our website. You can talk to me. But if you go on the website, you can just fill out some stuff, and we'll get back to you. And then, of course, we can always use financial giving. We are not government. There's no government money that comes into our ministry. We're not state funded, nothing like that. It comes from basically people who believe in what's happening. Businesses that actually give a portion of money that comes into the business. We have 2 social enterprises. What's a social enterprise? We've started some businesses to try to create money to keep things going. So that's another way you can help. We have a thrift store, and then we actually, stuff that can't go to the thrift store, we pack up in a baler and send it overseas for more income. And it also provides some job training for some of our residents. So cool stuff's happening. We have a bunch of entrepreneurs that like to keep coming up with new ideas and keep us busy. So that's how you can help. And I don't know if I'm out of time, but I see one question right here.
Time for a couple questions.
Time for a couple questions. Yes.
I have member at Burger about being down in jail on Monday night. And what always amazes me, one, these guys have dried out and they're so appreciative for getting dried out. The other thing is I tell them, if you guys weren't here, maybe go out and get a sandwich together. They're good people.
Yes.
And how do we develop a transition? Because some of those guys are going to state pen because they got a set.
Yep.
Some of those guys are, you know, on the verge of giving out. And it just doesn't seem like there's a community linkage there to get those people back out where they need to be. And, you know, you just see bright, hopeful faces because they've seen what sobriety's like. You know, and it's a tough thing to do. I haven't had that issue, but as you know, just you probably fall off the wagon several times before you stay on it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I don't know what to tell.
Yeah. Well, now you have a brochure that you can talk
Yeah,
about. We can connect. We'll connect afterwards. But I'll say this: it's harder to stay clean and sober than it is to get clean and sober.
Right.
It's hard to keep one. That was the idea. What if we had a place that could help somebody who does want it? It's so hard though that we can boost those chances. Because our rough sword, we have people come and visit, and we'll have a hangout night out at the house, and we're playing cornhole or something. And a new person will come and say, now which ones are the coaches and which ones are the residents? Because I can't tell the difference.
There you go.
Because you just think like, oh, and then you hang out with someone long as just people who are struggling through an addiction. We all struggle through different things. So, you have a question?
I have a comment more than
Yeah.
a question, but I just want to add to what you said. In Health and Service last year, I spent a lot of time visiting all our drug recovery programs, ones that were putting your tax dollars in across the state. Some of them were frightening because they were really 28-day detox programs with nothing that wrapped around them. And September 20th, we did a big focus in Frankfurt. Back in the 90s, and just go back this, I visited in Europe programs. They had a 93% recovery aspect, and there was over 50 of them going back that long because they had an old heroin, even patients or clients or from the United States there. But the piece that was missing, even when we passed House Bill 124, which is 148, it said we have to have all these wraparound services. Government can't have God. Right. And I have to say, government, we can't have God, so we'll talk about it. It's a good thing you're not taking money from us, because then you can't say God.
That's
the thing that struck me, this program and the program in Europe, and many of our discussions as legislators have been, the key component of work, sober living, and being able to work is the faith aspect. So I just want to say, what you're doing is really helping people get up, because they need that support. Type of work that has that piece to it, that Mr.
Yeah, thank you. And that's what we believe. We just believe that there's a whole that we were all created with, and we fill it with so many different things, including drugs and alcohol. And it's like, until we can have all the best ideas until that hole gets filled.
Is there always
It's probably not going to
separate
really
sites that are
stick.
good in the brain?
Yeah.
They've got to be able to.
Yeah. And also being in a community that cares about you. We all are looking for connection too. So, yeah.
I have a two-part question.
Okay, wow.
How many
John, you got 1 minute.
1 minute.
I can answer in 1 minute if you let me
I'll
do
do
it.
it.
How many clients do you have? How long do they stay? And have you estimated what the cost is to get one person from beginning to end?
That's it. Man, that's good. We have, in our houses right now, there are 21 residents. 9. How many, how long did they say? 9 to 18 months. And a lot of them keep coming back for just to help the next crew. And then how much does it cost for one person to go through? The average cost, and this, you gotta work through it, about $6,000 to be able to get, which is really cheap when you compare it to
That's not the-
45,000, 50,000 per person to be incarcerated per year, 6,000 a year to be able to
That's
have
not
the
bad.
right. Because we finally gave stipends this year to people who've been volunteering forever, and combined, it combines to $5,000 a month for 6 people that are giving of their time, probably 150 hours a week. So this is everybody doing this on the side as volunteers helping.
And the clients help with the cost.
Yes, they do. They pay a whopping $325 a month rent, which includes all their utilities and everything. But we want them to have it of paying rent. Yeah. So I could keep going forever, but if you guys have things to do. So thank you so much.
Grant, thank you for joining us today and sharing the story of Reset Ministries. That was awesome. Keep up the great work. That concludes our meeting today. If you think of it, send Jim Ferguson a note. I know he really was bummed that he couldn't be here with us today, so he wish him well in a speedy recovery, and we hope that he'll be with us next Monday, August 27th, for our next meeting. Have a great week, everyone. Be safe.
Sounds like it's.